What's up, guys? So today I'm going to talk to you about the best Mac for most people. I currently work as an ergonomist. I work at a hospital setting as an occupational therapist, but I also do ergonomics. And I personally use MacBook Pro right now. Now, I know this is not the best Mac for most people, but I think in general, most people should use a laptop. And speaking as an ergonomist, that's probably not 100% correct for ergonomics, but if you can have a laptop and just hook it up to an external monitor, now you have to make sure you're using the right monitor or else this doesn't work. So you want to make sure that you're using either the LG ultrafine 5K monitor or the Apple 5K Studio Display or any other monitor that's sold by Apple, because Apple has a monopoly on monitors because you can only really use their resolution natively on a good Apple display. And for ergonomics, I actually recommend a 27-inch monitor. And I use this MacBook all the time. It is always plugged in to my 5K monitor with an external keyboard and mouse, and that's the best solution for me. But the problem is we are mobile creatures. We're always moving around, and I'm sometimes working at home, or if I go on vacation, I can't just take my computer with me, and I'm not going to use my iPhone and kink my neck just kind of looking at it like that and typing with my thumbs. I don't think that's good for ergonomics either. And the thing is, like, a laptop can be a problem if you're using it as your primary computer, but if you're just using it for short spurts, so maybe like 30 minutes or an hour here and there and getting up and moving around, it's not going to be a huge deal. I know people that are in their older years that have used a laptop for years and it's not really causing significant issues with their neck, but it can, right? It can over time, because you're tilting your neck, you're leaning forward. A laptop is not a good workstation solution. You really need an external keyboard and monitor, and that's what I recommend. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, just get the Mac Mini. And for most people, a Mac Mini is a great idea. I mean, it's very affordable, and you only have to buy an external monitor, keyboard, and mouse, which can be expensive, but it's a very good workstation solution for most people who are just working from home, and I would actually recommend that if you can use that as your primary device. But for me personally, I'm not just working at home. I highly use a laptop. Like, I need something to go with me if I'm leaving the house or going on vacation or going to the office or anything like that. So I would highly recommend getting a laptop because it's the most versatile solution. I know a lot of people say that just get a Mac Mini and you'll be at the desk all the time. But then what if you go somewhere? You're gonna be upset that you don't have like another device to be able to use. And the problem with switching from your home computer to an iPad or your iPhone, or maybe like a separate computer, now there are ways around this. Like, you can bring like an external drive with you, but that doesn't really work for everyone. It's not the best solution. If you're just doing photography, then I think an iPad could work if you have it backed up, like if you have it set up with the cloud. But I think for most people, the simplest, easiest solution is just to use a laptop, and you just set it on your desk and you have it plugged into a monitor. And I know that that's kind of annoying, but it's just a really easy solution. And you get a ton of ports, right? So if you have a monitor, you're gonna have a ton of ports in the back. If you have the laptop, you're gonna have a ton of side ports to be able to access all the things that you need to get to. And for most people, I think that's just the best solution. Having a one computer that does everything and plugging it into an external monitor and keyboard and mouse whenever possible, and kind of dedicate an area for like a real workstation, so you're not just working on the laptop all the time. Now, the cons of having a laptop is you don't have an external keyboard or mouse, but those are the same cons if you have a Mac Mini. And a lot of people will get like an iMac, or like I had an iMac for like years, but the problem is I wasn't able to take those files with me. And I always had to be sitting at my desk, and that's not always practical for my situation. So, and I think that most people are like that. Most people don't always want to just be sitting at their desk or their workstation to work, and that's why I think a laptop is just the best solution. Which laptop should you get? For most people who are working in office, I would say get the M1 MacBook Air or M2 MacBook Air. I think the M1 MacBook Air is a little bit better for people like that because it has a faster hard drive. But if you are doing a lot heavier tasks like doing photo editing or video editing, I would highly recommend going with the base model MacBook Pro. I have the 14-inch. You can get the M2 14-inch. You can get a larger Mac, but I think the 14-inch is like perfectly fine, and I think that you don't really need to go with anything more than the base model because you're not getting huge improvements in performance. If you're doing this as a professional and you're making a ton of money from it, then go ahead and upgrade to the highest spec computer that you can get so you can maximize your workflow. But for most people, you can just get the base model MacBook Pro 14-inch or the M2 14-inch. But I actually think the MacBook Pro 14-inch M1 Pro is actually better because the base model is so much cheaper, and the M2 Pro actually has a slower SSD as the base model. And so that's why I think that most people should just be buying the previous year 14-inch MacBook Pro. There's no reason to upgrade to the newest year. The M1 Pro is just a really stellar machine, and I've just found that it's great for everything that I need to do. It hasn't crashed on me. I've been using it for the last year. I haven't had any issues with it. Now, if you want a really good Mac Mini and you want the best bang for your buck, I would say get the M2 Mac Mini, but you need to make sure you have at least 512 gigabytes of storage because it has such a faster hard drive speed. And if you are running a lot of hungry applications, you need to definitely upgrade to at least 16 gigabytes. Now, which monitor should you get? You should definitely get either the 5K ultrafine LG display or get the Apple Studio display. Both are 27 inches, both are the Retina display, and I have to tell you guys, I have used other monitors. I've used 4K monitors that aren't Apple monitors, and they just pale in comparison. They are garbage compared to the 5K display. If you want to talk about eye strain, you want to get a 5K display. It is so much better. It is leaps and bounds better. When you go from a 13-inch monitor to a 27-inch Retina display, it is night and day. And the same for an iMac. I use the 4K, the 24-inch Apple iMac, and after switching to the 27-inch, I was blown away with how much better it was. And I actually used the 27-inch iMac before I got the 24-inch, and so downgrading, it wasn't that big of a change, but after using it for about a year, the 24-inch, and going to the 27-inch, night and day. So much better in every way. So I highly recommend getting the 27-inch 5K monitor. You won't regret it. Now, as for keyboards and mice, I would just recommend going with the Apple keyboard. I think for most people, it's gonna work perfectly. It's fast, it's seamless. If you can, get the Touch ID. That's your best keyboard that you should get. You can also go with the Logitech MX Mini. I think that's a great keyboard as well. But I am partial to the Mac computers just because it's so much faster with the Touch ID. Now, what about mice? I actually use the MX Master. I think that's the best mouse for most people. It's ergonomic. It fits the hands well. It's not a vertical mouse, which I think is probably best for most people, but you're still moving your wrist back and forth, and that can cause strain on your wrist. And so for most people, you don't need to have anything other than the MX Master. The MX Master is a great mouse. It's the one I recommend. It's the one I use. I used the Apple mouse for a few years, and it's not terrible, but it's definitely not the best mouse in my opinion. But I would say also consider using the trackpad mouse. You're not going to move your wrist as much if you're using a trackpad mouse. Apple has the best trackpad mouse on the market, and you're not going to move your wrist. all you're pretty much doing is moving your fingers. It's so much easier to do swipe gestures, but you don't have as much fine control when using the mouse like you will with a standard mouse. Alright guys, so I hope you like this video. I'm going to put a link in the description below on my ergonomics course so you can check that out if you're interested, where I go over everything you need to know to become an ergonomist, and I'll put some other articles below to kind of help you out get started with improving your ergonomics. I hope you like this video. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.